Hey guys, it's Rick with the Digital Divide. Today we're going to be taking a look at an iMac, and anyone that knows me knows that I do not like Apple computers. It's not that the hardware is bad, it's just the price to performance that you pay for Apple products are horrible. Now, I do have an iPhone, an iPad, an iWatch, and an Apple TV 4K, but when it comes to their computers, I just think for the value proposition, they're horrible. Like, you can build a computer 10 times as fast for half the price most of the time. Now, I was thrift shopping this weekend, and I found this guy with a flashing question mark on the screen, and it was an iMac for a whopping $20. That's right, $20. If you know anything about Apple products, that is insanely cheap. Now, although I'm not a huge iMac person, I took a risk and I bought it. And the reason it was so cheap is because it was broken and not functioning. They told me up front that the known issues were that it was missing a hard drive, the microphone wasn't working, the CD drive was not working, and obviously it needed an operating system since there was no hard drive installed. And I thought to myself, this is all really easy stuff, so let's fix this, because we can fix this. So if I'm going to fix this, because it is an older system, the only way it's going to be usable today is if I install an SSD, because an SSD dramatically improves the performance of any older systems and current systems. It's pretty much the standard nowadays. The second thing is that I'm going to max out the RAM that this thing supports, which in this case is 6 gigabytes. The third thing, obviously, is that it needs an operating system. Now, it turns out that the newest operating system that this particular iMac supports is El Capitan, which released in 2015 or 2016, so a couple of years old at this point, but still very usable. And if I can get this thing up and running, it's going to be a steal for $20. So I decided to pick it up and fix it. So the first thing you need when you're repairing an iMac is a suction cup, because the screen on the front is literally just held with magnets. So you can get any old suction cup, a cheap one like this one, and you literally stick it on the front and then pull up, and the screen should just pop right off. And once you've got the screen off, you're going to need to unscrew several screws. These are not regular screws, they are Torx screws, so you'll need a bit that will accommodate that. In this case, I have this guy here. I've got a kit that has a variety of sizes, so I just want to double check the size here and make sure it'll work. As you can see, there are multiple surrounding the outer case, so we're going to go ahead and unscrew those. Now, once all of the screws are removed, there is a screw at the bottom, this screw right here underneath the chassis where the RAM is stored on this particular model. So you will need to undo that as well, which I'm doing off screen right now. So now that that's done, we can go ahead and remove the outer aluminum shell for this iMac. Now, once you remove the shell, you'll notice there is a cable at the top that attaches the aluminum shell to the main board on the iMac right here. So make sure you unclip that. I believe this is the microphone for the camera. Next thing we're going to do is remove the remaining Torx screws to keep the screen attached to the main chassis. And there are several. I believe there's 8 in total. So we're going to go ahead and pop this guy off. Now, when you pop it off, you'll notice that there are some power cables right here. Those cables are attached to the main board to the screen of the iMac. So you're going to want to take those out because you can't get access to the drive until you do. And guys, I installed already a mechanical hard drive in here earlier today, but I realized that wasn't going to cut it. For a system of this age, it really does need an SSD. And while we're on that topic, let's take a moment to laugh at me for this hack job that I've done here, because you can see it's just literally electrical tape holding this thing on, which for a mechanical drive is not a good idea. I really messed up there, because for a mechanical drive, it's going to vibrate, it moves a lot, it's going to move out of place after a certain period of time. But we're going to go ahead and install this Samsung Evo SSD that I have. This will dramatically increase the performance of this machine. It weighs pretty much nothing, and since it doesn't have any moving parts, it's not going to vibrate or move around at all while it's functioning. So this is okay to go ahead and use a little bit of electrical tape to adhere to the base of this unit, and that should be fine. It was not okay for the mechanical drive, but for the SSD, this should be just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple pieces of electrical tape to secure this to the unit. And now that that's all secure, we can go ahead and reattach the power cables. Now, the ones at the bottom there we didn't have to detach because I just leaned the screen out, but these we do have to reattach. So now that we've reattached those cables, we need to make sure that when we put the aluminum top on, we leave room for this cable right here, which again I believe is the microphone that works in conjunction with the camera. So we're going to go ahead and re-screw all the Torx screws to secure the monitor, but make sure that we leave enough space for that cable to seep out of the top there, so we can reconnect it in the next step. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and put the aluminum front back on, and the cable you can see is attached to that, and we've left room to reattach it to the cable that comes out of the main board for this. So now that that's attached, we can secure this and make sure that we tuck this cable in between the chassis and the aluminum front plate. Now all we have to do is screw this back down. Alright guys, so once everything is screwed back down, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna completely clean the screen. Now I use a mix of Windex and water. 1 part Windex, 3 parts water. I feel that does the best job of cleaning up the screen without leaving any smudge or like residual marks that you can see once you put the screen back on. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this down. I'm also going to use a microfiber cloth as well. Off camera here, I'm also wiping down the front and the actual screen before I pop it back into place. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a wipe down. Now that we have a fully working, functional unit and everything is working, so it turns out that the disk drive and the microphone were not working because the person that took it apart did not reconnect those cables. Now that they're set in place and we have a hard drive installed, we need to install El Capitan. This would prove a lot more complicated than I originally thought because you need a Macintosh to download it. This is where my dad comes into place. My dad is a Mac expert. This website here says that this Trans-Mac application can work to allow your Windows PC to download and create a bootable drive for the Mac, but it did not work for me, and I tried it 100 times. So that's it for me, guys, right now. I'm going to do a follow-up video once I get the OS installed, and thank you for watching.